Alright guys, so today I am going to walk you through how to do your Ifta taxes for Q1 of 2024. If you've never done them yourself, sometimes they can be a little bit intimidating, but I'm going to be here to help you and walk you through the whole process. So as you can see here, I have a Google Docs spreadsheet in front of me, and so what I like to do, I already have my information input here. I like to go ahead and put the date and the amount of the gallons I've purchased in each state, and then it'll automatically calculate the totals at the bottom for me on how many gallons of fuel I have purchased in each prospective state. Now, the reason why I do this is because it helps me keep track of my information. It makes it easier for me to access my information when I need it in a rush, and I don't have to go back through and fumble through all my fuel receipts. What I like to do is I like to keep all my fuel receipts month by month in envelopes. So every month I change out my envelope in my truck. It's labeled for that prospective month. And then at the end of the quarter, I will come in here and I will input all my information in my little handy dandy Google Docs spreadsheet here, automatically calculating everything for me. Now, for those of you that have trucks that require DEF, which I think most trucks after like 2015 do require DEF now, you do not calculate your DEF receipts in with your diesel. You don't even have to calculate them on your Ifta report. It's not required, although you may want to keep them for, tax purposes, but for your Ifta fuel tax, it is not required, so do not calculate them. This is only diesel gallons that you have purchased within that quarter. So after I've input all of my receipts within my spreadsheet, I obviously already have it labeled down there below. I always make sure I create a new tab for each new quarter just to make sure the information is more organized and easier to access. So if I need to go look at anything, then I could just go to that prospective tab and pull up all the information for that quarter. All my receipts that were in each of those envelopes, I've input into this whole spreadsheet here. Obviously, again, automatically calculating the total number of gallons I've purchased in each state that I drove in within that month. It just makes it easier. The information is right at your hands. And then what I'll do is I will go ahead and print this out to make sure that I have a copy of it with my file when I file my tax. So next, what I'll do is I'll go to my motive account, I'll go to reports, and then you go and choose which quarter of your distance summary you want to print out. So we're choosing Q1 2024. And obviously this is our report right here. We drove 24,365.93 miles. So what you'll do is you'll go ahead and export the PDF into your email, and then you'll print that out as well. So now you have two documents printed. You have your distance summary from your motive report, and then you also have your spreadsheet from your gallons that you input. Then we'll go ahead and log into our Ifta, Texas Comptroller Ifta account. And I'm just going to show you because I've already filed my tax, but I'm going to go ahead and file an amended return or attempt to file an amended return to show you what it looks like on the inside. So we'll go ahead and click File Amended Return, and then we'll click Continue, and we'll choose the date, diesel, and then this is what it's going to look like. So everything up at the top right there is going to come off of your documents. So your total mileage is going to come off your distance summary report, and then all those the prospective states, all those mileages there are going to go into all those cells that are on your Ifta tax report. So now here, you got to make sure everything is adds up equally. So if you're at a 0.5, you need to round up. If you're at a 0.4, you need to round down. So the numbers are going to coincide with rounding up, rounding down. Add it all together. Make sure your total distance matches your total miles that you have at the top. So if you have to change it by like 1 point or whatever, then that's fine. Now, your total taxable miles has to be equal exactly to your total IFTA miles. You can't really change that because all your miles are taxed. Your total non-IFTA miles up there is always going to be 0. And then over on the right-hand side there, you have your total gallons purchased, which is off that spreadsheet that we created in the beginning, totaling all of our taxable gallons. And then the purchased gallons for each state on the right-hand side there is all the information that we're pulling off our spreadsheet here. So then you're going to do the same thing with your mileage or your gallons purchased. You're going to round up or round down. And then after you process your return, that's what it's going to look like right there. So each state that we purchased gallons in, some states we got credit for, some states we didn't. And then also, let me mention to you here, like if you didn't purchase fuel in a state, you need to make sure you put 0, because if not, when you process the return, it's going to kick it back with an error. So again, here we go. These are the miles that we've purchased, or these are the states that we've purchased gallons of fuel in. And as you can see, you have your total mileage up there and the total gallons. It gives us an average of 6.53 miles per gallon, which is okay. But my trucks had some DPF issues and some just dumb issues, actually, really, that's caused my miles per gallons to drop. Usually it's around 7 to 7.5. So then we're going to go ahead and look over here at our state. So let's just say Arkansas here. We drove 300 miles in Arkansas. Our total taxable gallons for that state was 46. We actually purchased 101, so they gave us a credit. So as you look down the sheet there, the states that we didn't purchase fuel in, we had a tax bill. The states that we did purchase fuel in, we got majority of a credit, or we may have had to pay a little extra. So let's just see taxable gallons for Oklahoma here. We have 845 and we had 757 gallons purchased. So we owe them for 79 gallons at, so we owe them $15. Anyways, my total tax bill for this was $21.78. So that's what I have to make sure I pay. So we'll go ahead and file and pay that. We'll print out. We'll go ahead and print out the fuel tax bill, and we'll staple that along with our spreadsheet and our distance summary report. That way we have all of our documentation all together. If there's a time that you come up for an audit, you're going to have to provide a lot of information, and it's easier to already have the information on hand than trying to search for it again. So in my file for my IFTA, what I do is I go ahead and I print my IFTA fuel tax report, my spreadsheet with my purchased gallons, my distance summary, and then the 3 envelopes for that quarter. I have it all in the same envelope just to make sure I have all my documentation needed. The only time I take those out is when it's time for me to file my federal taxes. And a lot of times I use QuickBooks anyways, so my fuel purchase is already within my QuickBooks, so it's pretty easy to pull out. So now we're going to go ahead and file our New Mexico tax. Again, I've already done this, but I'm going to attempt to show you. When you log into your account there, it's going to say file your quarterly return. If you didn't drive any miles, you just put 0. And then you file and pay, and you print your copy. You print your copy out, which is going to look like that. I put that in a separate file folder with that same quarter just to make sure I have the information, or you can staple it with all the other documentation. It doesn't really matter at all. If you did drive, you need to make sure you put however many miles you drove, and it's based off of the weight of your truck. So if you're hauling 80,000 pounds through there, then you're going to have, pay whatever their rate per mile is for those taxable miles. Now, if you didn't know this, it's obviously free to get the New Mexico tax revenue login. But if you buy your $10 permit, that's good for the full year, you're only going to pay for your taxable miles. If you do not buy that $10 permit for that taxable year, then anytime you go through a weigh station, in New Mexico, you're going to end up paying all those miles up front right then and there instead of filing them quarterly. So this is pretty much the gist of the video. Again, you're going to print your distance summary. You're going to print your IFTA gallons spreadsheet. You're going to print your IFTA taxes when you file them. You're also going to print your New Mexico taxes when you file them. Put them all in a file folder with your envelopes for all your fuel purchases. And that's all you really need to have in your file until the next quarter. So you're just going to repeat the process over and over again. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure you leave a comment below, like, share, and subscribe.